Hey everybody, Horseman here, and today I'm going to be bringing to you another ARPG video, this time again about Last Epoch, and it's been a couple years since I've actually shared any information about this game. And a lot of it is because I have been really chomping at the bit for this game to get finished, because I think it is a great game. I have two characters that are past 60, I think one is like 61, the other one's in the 70s, and I really did enjoy this game, but I knew that it wasn't a finished product, and so I've been having a hard time really wanting to devote any amount of time into it because of the fact that it is still beta, still early access, and it has been so for the last 4 years. I did buy into the early access back in 2019, I think it was around May timeframe, and I gotta say, it's come such a long way. Now, why am I making a video now? If you haven't heard already, you've been living under a rock, 0.9 Convergence has been released. So, and if you don't know, 1.0 is the first official launch. So the fact that we are actually at 0.9 says quite a bit. This is the patch where multiplayer was introduced into the beta. So now we can party up, we can do things together as a community, and there are definitely still some missing features, but the fact is we are that much closer to a final release. And as the time goes on, they're going to prioritize certain features, they're going to prioritize certain aspects and capabilities into the game, and we should be able to see those. But in the meantime, there's been so many changes that came with this latest patch. I don't want to get into a lot of them, but a lot of those changes did surround the Acolyte, which is the class that I'm playing, and more particularly the Bone Golem, which is really what I wanted to play. I thought it was just a really neat class. So I'm going to get into that, and if you don't know, I'm going to be doing some spoilers. So if you really care about the story and whatnot, I'm still mid-campaign, so I would say click away, right? Get your information elsewhere. If you don't necessarily care about some of the spoilers that you're going to see here, I don't know what the end of this game's going to be, and the story is honestly kind of difficult to follow anyway, but I'm just going to get into certain parts of this midway through the campaign. So what are you looking at right now? You're looking at the Epoch map. This is different eras that you can visit, including the End of Time, Ruined Era, Imperial Era, Divine Era, and Ancient Era. If you don't know and have never heard of the game Chrono Trigger, well, you would also not necessarily understand that this is where they get a lot of their inspiration from. Chrono Trigger. So in Chrono Trigger, you can visit different time eras, but the same map, and you see it progress through time, and you can even use time to your advantage to uncover secrets, things that would have been changed with time that you can now access, things like that. So and it's really neat. So we do have the Ancient Era, which is, as you would, guess, it is a prehistoric version of the world. The Divine Era, where this is kind of the golden age. This is where humanity and civilization was at its height, and then we start getting into what's called the Imperial Era, is where things start going downhill. What's interesting about the story is that they do have these things called the Imperials. Go figure, they're the bad guys, go figure. But they are immortals, and they didn't do so because of their divine, elvish kind of longevity based off of their race, species, whatever. Nah, they just decided to tamper with a whole bunch of really bad type of magic, and you'll get a really good taste of that as you progress through the story. So it's really interesting. But something happened, and it unleashed something called the Void, which is something that you'll be introduced to very early on in the game, and I mean very early on in the game, and you gotta kind of figure out what the heck it's all about. Like, what is this void? What is this thing that is swallowing the world? And before long, you're gonna end up going into this area called the End of Time, which is where I currently am. End of Time is gonna ultimately be your bastion. It's gonna be your sanctuary. It's gonna be where you go to, more often than not, to go and sell items, to do all of your like respecs, your crafting, gambling, all kinds of stuff. And that's really what we have here. So the dice, obviously, that's going to be your gambler. You have your armor, which is going to be where you get to sell items and buy items, but there's not much to buy. So I've never really been impressed with the shop itself, so I typically only dump stuff off. Then the head with the brain here, that is where you're going to be able to respec. And then your forge here is where you can go and obviously do some crafting. But the interesting thing about that is if I go to the forge, it brings up this window here. I don't even know why it has an icon on the map, because I can do the same thing if I push the button F. Voila. And I can put an item in here, and then I can start doing some forging. So, as you can see, I need to be 46 in order to forge this, but I can also upgrade certain other things. And I am not going to do that right now. So, anyway. I have to say that the story isn't too terribly intriguing, to be honest, and I think that goes a lot with many ARPGs. There's not too many ARPG stories that really capture me. I think Grim Dawn was one that I really enjoyed in the old Diablo 1 and 2. Sure, Diablo 3 wasn't so much. Diablo 4 does seem to be a very interesting story, so can't wait for that. But other than that, you know, of all the stories that are out there, they always end up kind of starting off interesting, but then fizzling out towards the end, with Wolfson being the same. It started off really interesting and then kind of fizzled away. But why should you be interested in this game? And that would be because of its character development screen, okay? You have a primary class, which is your base class, and I chose the Acolyte. There are, I believe, 5 classes you can choose from, and each class has 3 masteries. You can only choose one of these masteries, but you can also still dump points into the different masteries. But as you can see, there's a certain point where you cannot go beyond. And same thing down here. I cannot take this mastery skill, and I have yet to see if I can take any of these skills, but I would think that I would be limited. I believe I can take these, but I'm not able to take this one here. But I'm not that far yet, so I cannot specifically answer to that. So I decided to go with the Necromancer in this case, and I am, dump points into it, and the bar fills. This might seem similar to that of other games like Titan Quest, where it had a similar system. Your tree was horizontally allocated, such as this, and then the bar filled up in order for you to unlock certain other passives, or to be able to unlock additional passives as you go. You have to get this far in order to take that specific passive type of thing. You don't necessarily have to fill all the way up, unless they're chained, like this one. But if I filled up all these, and suddenly I didn't want this row or this row, I could go ahead and take this one if I wanted to. So I don't have to fill up anything. I could take this one. I don't have to fill up any of these in order to get to this one, if that makes sense. And this goes for all the different classes, and that's what's really neat. And that also brings you to a secondary character development screen, which is going to be your skill screen. So, skills and specializations. You have a bunch of different skills, but then you can specialize in certain skills. The skill, you can take any of these and put them into your action bar. You can use them as you need to. They will have base properties that you can leverage, and you can just... But they don't really build. They're not gonna get any stronger than just that base value. If you want a particular skill to gain in strength, then that's when you specialize in it. And so what happens when you specialize in it? You open up the screen, and this beautiful thing pops up. And I'm trying to get that screen. There we go. This pops up. It's another passive screen. It's a passive screen for your active skills. And this is really where you get to build out exactly how you want your character to perform. And I've always thought that this was very interesting, and I've tried this out now with the Druid and the Rogue, and now the Acolyte, the Necromancer, and I have found that this is an incredibly intuitive way for character progression, character development, and build specialization how you want your builds. Of course, there's going to be meta builds, there's going to be builds that are just going to be more powerful than others, but the fact is that there is an almost infinite amount of builds that you can you can try out and you can experiment with, it's kind of incredible. And I've always said that Last Epoch has probably the best character development I have ever seen in any game, and this includes games like Path of Exile. Why? Because I think Path of Exile, for the middle ground player, I think it's just a little bit too much. I think that if you make even one mistake, you're done, right? You're not going to be able to really go back and experiment with a whole lot. There are limitations. So I can respec at any time that I want to. I can even unspecialize a skill and respecialize in another skill. And if I were to do this, if I were to respec, it's going to bring up this screen here, and I can either remove points from different nodes, or I can completely despecialize a skill and replace it with something else. I do not get those points back. What happens is my experience towards that skill will just be increased from a base value. So that way I can catch up a little bit faster. But I'm not completely given back all the points that I've already dumped into this to freely dump into a new skill, which I think is great because it does make you, think about what you do and do not want to do. But it's fantastic because you also don't get access to all of your skills right away. Some of your skills are mastery skills that you have to get into a certain part of the story in order to get access to. So doing it this way, I think was very well done. So in here, you can check out all the different nodes, and each of these give different benefits, and you can build out how that skill performs, and that goes with any of the skills that you decide to specialize in. And it's a fantastic system. And when I hit level 50, I will have one more skill that I can specialize in. All right. Same thing goes with your passive skills. You can respec at any point in time. Now, the only thing you cannot respec, in other words, once you choose it, that's done. I chose Necromancer. If I decided late game, you know what, Necromancer's not doing it for me, I really want to go Lich. Well, I cannot change that. I will have to go back and create a new character if I want to be a Lich. So, choose wisely. Okay. Itemization is going to be a very familiar thing with Last Epoch. We have our unique items, we have rare items, we have blue magic items, common items, and we even have set items. You can see in here MoxJet 200. That is the founder of the 11th Hour Games, and it's also he's like one of the lead programmers, lead developers, etc. And he's been actively in here talking to us. And one of the things that he said is that he never wants sets to be more powerful than legendaries. At no point in time. Do they come with additional benefits? Absolutely. But some of these pieces I got early on, and they don't want to see is that these bonuses being more powerful than our uniques. So I think that's a breath of fresh air because we don't necessarily want characters and their builds to be locked into a specific set. Just like Diablo 3. That was very, very annoying. Same thing with Diablo Immortal. Something that might be very familiar to, from Diablo 2, kind of like how we had charms. In this game, we have idols, and we have a whole separate section here dedicated to idols. And just like charms, these idols bring about specific bonuses to passives, to stats, to whatever. And they all come in different sizes. I'll show you an example. We have everything from these vertical 2s, horizontal 2s, singulars, to they could be a whole 4 slots, like this. I have seen late game them be a little bit bigger than this, and you have to really think about what you want to put in here. Do I necessarily want critical strike chance, increased minion cooldown, recovery speed? That doesn't necessarily benefit as much as having health regeneration, increased necrotic damage, minion necrotic damage, increased damage over time. To me, that is much more beneficial to this right now, especially since that I am focusing on a pet build. We also have a button here called Transfer Crafting Items. You're going to pick up a bunch of items, just like these here, that are kind of like a brown orangish color on the ground. You pick them up, they'll go in your inventory, you transfer, they'll all go in here. Why do they don't automatically go in there? I have no idea. It's like picking up a Death's Breath from Diablo 3 and then having to go in your inventory and push an extra button to make them go into your pool of other Death's Breath. So that, honestly, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why I have to do that, because then I still have to play a little bit of inventory Tetris in order to get things. Good news is that they do give us a sort button, which allows us to just automatically sort all of our items how we want to. Stash has the same thing, so I can show you here. Boom, done. Easy as that. You can buy stash tabs with gold, which is great. It's not like a real money purchase. And you can configure said tab how you wish to. You want a different icon, different title, you can choose the category, and you can go so far as to choose the color of said tab. I decided to have three unique tabs: hands, boots, and randoms. I'll eventually get more when I have more of this. You can also go so far, I'm kind of going a little bit all over the place. You can also view your materials. What these do, you can see here, they will all have a name. They could be an armor one. I have 27 increased armor. I have 1 health gained on block, etc. And these are properties that can be added to equipment based off of their, what's the word? Oh, forging potential. That's the word. So these boots have forging potential. So I can put these boots. I keep forgetting to bring my items back. Put my boots in here for forging potential. I have strength, necrotic resistance, and health regen per second. I don't necessarily want that, so let's try something new. I can do movement speed. Movement speed is always a good thing, especially early on, right? I can add the affix, so let me just go do that right now, and you'll see this get populated, and I'll show you what I can do after that. So right now, I can't do anything extra with this. Bummer, right? That's fine. But, say, my strength. I don't necessarily need more strength, so let me do necrotic resistance. So I have the ability to upgrade this affix. Now, I can also, there's different runes that you can get. I can destroy the rune to get those affix shards. I can re-roll the values of all affix, which is neat. I can remove a random affix on one item, returning the number of shards equal to the tier, so that way I can go back and re-add something more specific. So this is your crafting system. Or I can add a random tier 1 affix to all empty. So like if I had a common item, for instance, I can use this one just to populate. So you can just randomize it, or you can go in there and specifically set things how you want to. There are others that I can't even hover over, but like this one, for instance, if you get one, I did use it, and you decide to use it on a silver ring, for instance, it can take a rare silver ring and turn it into a unique. So these are also options that that we have in this game. And you can keep doing this, and you can see I got -1 forging potential, and I can keep doing this until I lose all of my forging potential. There we go. I have no more forging potential. Take those boots, put them right back where they were. Alright. Didn't get a whole lot of increased movement speed. Bummer, but it's more than what I had before, so yay. Alright, I have done a lot of talking already. And I won't do a whole lot more. To be honest, I don't know what blessings are just yet. I'm still trying to get through the game to where blessings matter. I didn't even do that in the previous times that I've got to end game content, so I'm not sure exactly when or how this gets unlocked. So more to follow. Appearance-wise, as you guessed it, there will be a cosmetic shop, but it is not available right now. There's also supporter packs, which, by the way, I thought was really cool that Mox Jet, he has recognized that there are problems with the game, and he deliberately took down the supporter packs because he did not want us buying an imperfect product. And I thought that was I thought that was absolutely amazing. He identified that there are problems with this game, and we don't want you buying it, spending money on us just yet. And I put that on Twitter. I put that on the Facebook page. because I think that it is an admirable stance, and I think more gaming companies within the industry should take. Alright, so let's get into the gameplay. Let's actually start doing something. So I'm going to go back to my map, and I'm going to find... There was a side quest that I was working on. Gotta find it. Here. Right here. I'm going to go ahead and travel here. And I'm going to do a side quest. That way it's not too terribly spoilery. I'm not going to talk to anybody, nothing like that. There's my stash. There's going to be different havens scattered around the world, but they're not all going to have the same resources as the end of time. Alright. Big changes to skills, such as the Bone Golem. And I am definitely putting this one out there first because I think it is the most badass of the bunch. I mean, they really knocked it out of the park with this guy. Not only is this dude huge, which, by the way, is also part of the passives. I can make him bigger, more powerful. But just the head on this thing is just so unique. I have never seen anything like it. But this guy absolutely rocks. Just slams these baddies into oblivion. Completely deletes them. I can also, in my Acolyte branch, I can summon skeletons, but in the Necromancer mastery, I can do skeleton mages, and within that specialization, I can change all of my skeleton mages into what's called Death Knights, and that's what I did. My Death Knights are going to look like this. Lightsaber-wielding badasses is what they are. So, I mean, how freaking cool is that, right? And these guys definitely do quite a bit of damage, and they also have a lot of the same benefits as a mage does. For instance, ranged attacks and abilities, mortars, etc. They're tough. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would not go with the Death Knight, but this is the build that I decided to go with. I also decided to take the Wraith. The Wraiths are not permanent. They do fade after a little while, but they do quite a bit of damage. And they can also disappear after a period of time. So, boo. I have a movement type of ability called Transplant, like a teleport, blink, if you will. It's good times. And I have a Spirit Plague ability, which is like a big curse. It does poison damage, and then it spreads like a plague after something has died. So let's go ahead and mess around with that. Just doing that, you can see ticking. Bone Golem. Love this thing. It was a complete redesign, and they could not have done it any better. $3,000.
Feel my wrath.
So these are going to be your crafting materials, and then we can see our rare items. Which brings me to another point. So Shift F allows me to add my own loot filters. I can export said filters if I wanted to share them, and I can also import filters from that other people have made. Currently, my only filter is to filter out both normal and magic items. I just don't pick them up, and they take a lot of inventory space. Especially right now, because there is a bug going on where if I were to teleport back home, I cannot come back. I have to use a regular teleport pad to do so, and as you can imagine, that is extremely annoying. Your inventory will fill up very quickly, even if you're just picking up yellows. Alright, dinged. So did my ability. You can see down here, I had an ability ding with my wraiths. So let's demonstrate that. not going. Go away. Alright. I want... Thank God for those guys. I want to go ahead and level it up because I do eventually want... I want this. This is what I want. I don't want them to go away so fast. So, cast speed, summoning mana efficiency. So this is going to be good because then I can summon more using less mana. That's really what I want. So, and you can see that it opened up a whole bunch of lines here. You'll see some that there are 2 dots. So that means I have to put at least 2 points into this to get access to this. But this one only has 1 dot, so next time I get a point, I can automatically start dumping points into it. So that's fun. For my passives, let's see what I have here. Let's see what I want. I want to start shredding armor. Can I do that? Oh, I need to do this first. Oh, I don't know why I didn't take this sooner. Yes, definitely want necrotic damage for both me and my minions. So I need to put more points into this and then get this. Outstanding. Short work to him.
Feel my wrath.
One other bug that they have actively going on right now is I cannot change this. Normally I would be able to change that from being a pure movement to other things. I'm not able to do that right now. Got a whole bunch of these crafting items just populating my inventory. Push the crafting button, gone, and change that up. No problem. Treasure chests. Figure I'll just go ahead and finish this quest that I'm supposed to be doing here, which short streak from a distance. Okay. Oh.
Feel my wrath.
Yeah, that dude got wrecked. Nice. Alright. That was easy. And now I can return to Ulrich. Like to finish exploring this area? Sure, why not? I will say, though, if you have any questions, if you have any comments or concerns about this, please let me know. One thing I will not tolerate, though, is just straight-up toxicity. Be constructive. I mean, if you did participate in the beta and you didn't have the time, yeah, it's understood why. I mean, absolutely, 100%. But obviously, we're not game developers. We don't necessarily know exactly what happened. And the staff has been very responsive in everything that they've been doing. They've been pretty, it seems to be that they've been very transparent. So, but at the end of the day, this is just a beta. This is not a full launch, although they did blow up this launch quite a bit, especially on social media, both Facebook and Twitter, and I saw a bunch of posts on Instagram as well. So, you know, it is, take it for what it is. At the end of the day, though, this is just a beta. That's exactly what this is for. If ever I want to have server connectivity issues, it's going to be during the beta. I'd rather have it then. So, but if you do have any, you know, thing to say, please put it in the comment section. Let me know, and I'll do my best to address it. If not in the comment section right then and there, then I can, if it warrants its own content video, then I can do that as well. And you'll hear back from me again here shortly. I know I haven't been putting out a whole lot of videos lately. I just haven't had the time, and honestly, I just haven't had the content. And especially lately, I've been goofing up on the technical aspects of it, where I'll record a full video only to realize that I didn't record any of the audio type of thing. So it's just been really frustrating, a lot of it my own fault. But do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have anything else to say, let me know. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.
If we pull this
Horseman,
off, maybe
out.
I can give us some good news.